It is AUS Property Investors on Wednesday night. Have the big fun. I'm going to change that soon, Joe, so be prepared. It'll change. So how you going, Scotty?
I'm good. And you boys?
Bloody fantastic, mate. I'm pumped for this one. I'm very excited for what we've got in store. Very excited.
I like it, Joe. This is quite a typical, not typical. This is a topical thing for us because I've recently, the property that Scott's helped me list. I'm going to say help me list. So he's assisted with the agent. It actually went live today. So we're going to talk through. If people want to see that, we'll get into that. Maybe you don't want to see it. If you don't want to, it's okay. We don't have to talk about it.
Well, if you want to buy it, buy it as well.
Yeah, that's actually one of the. I'm juggling a few kind of balls at the moment. That sounds funny, juggling a few balls. But there's a couple of other deals I'm just looking at. There's many things happening. So I'm going well, but I'm excited about this session because the crowd's going to go wild. Drop your comments, questions, thoughts. So,
pop them in, guys. This is going to be an absolute real estate gold rush. Because like what I like about you, Scott, is that you're from an agent background. You've got that experience as an agent, but agents never open up, right? No one has ever said as an agent all the tips and tricks of how they, do their sales tactics and play their sales game. So I've liked that you've opened Pandora's box, but you've also got it from the negotiating side. And this today is going to be focused around the agent side of things. So when you're actually going to be selling a property. So, man, I'm busting the seams for this one. So
good. Ready to share. Let's go.
Ready to share. One thing that I wanted to, I don't even know if maybe this is more of an admin thing. Like Scott is a paid sponsor. You can see with his little logo here, which is fantastic. But this episode is not a paid sponsorship in any way. He hasn't paid us to come online and do that because I've listened to podcasts. Have you guys listened to those podcasts where like they get the paid sponsor on?
Never heard of podcasts.
And they're just the worst. But this is not one of them. Scott has only come on here because he's delivering absolute value. So stay tuned.
And I think it's a topic that he knows a lot about, and it makes sense. I mean, to talk about it's a thing that a lot of people don't talk about. So should we get into the quotes of the week, which is a new segment for us?
This is all about mindset, right? That's why we've gone from life hacks because life hacks, they're ethereal, they disappear, they move on, right? But quotes, they're all about getting your mindset right. So let's go with you, Scotty. What is your quote of the week?
I'm not a quote guy, but I think probably the only one that really sticks with me long term is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I think it's Henry Ford that said that, but I love that. I love that one for just really cutting back to, it's self-belief, isn't it? And if you can believe in yourself, you can do anything. So I love that one. And I don't really go beyond that too much. I'm not really one of these motivational poster guys. All I need to do is look at my bank balance or, crusty old shirt or something and think I'm not earning enough. I need to work harder or smarter.
Love it.
Doing something wrong.
Do more deals. Yep.
Get it done. Thank Gary.
What about you, Jeff? What is your quote? What is your mindset quote for today?
So, you know this better than most, Joe, probably better than anybody, but I don't necessarily always get as much sleep as what I can or should. So my quote of the week is it says man, so we'll just say a healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man wants only one, and that's his health, of course. So, yeah, that's my kind of quote.
It's deep and profound,
a bit of you,
Jeff. Yeah, I love it.
I would say, I don't think who that was from again. It was, I don't know who that was anyway. It doesn't matter. I could Google it. I should write down who this is.
And you, Joey?
See, I'm not much of it. Like I am a quote guy, but I like the old people, like people way back when, like Marcus Aurelius or Titus, like they've lasted the test of time. So it's going to be of value. So this is one I like. This is from Titus, who, if you know who Titus is, you know who Titus is.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Google it. We fear things in proportion to our ignorance of them, right?
Jeez,
it's a big one.
Yeah.
I have to think about that one though, Joe. It's too much.
Oh, there's too much thinking. My second favorite quote, because that's where we're going now.
You got one. You got one. It was one each. That was the deal we said.
No, we had this one's a good one, but I'm gonna save it for next time actually, because you only get one. You only get one.
Don't leave us in suspense.
I don't want to.
We'll have to tune in next week.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, cool. Are we going to jump into our first sponsor of the night before we introduce our guy?
Is it me? Okay. Am I sponsoring?
Yes, yeah, you're the sponsor.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's. Scott Aggett. You would have seen him on the 7 p.m. project campaigning against agent underquoting. Scott is an expert negotiator through and through. Every single day, he is negotiating with real estate agents to get the best price for his clients. To give you a bit of a background, Scott has been working in real estate since 1995, and as a real estate agent, built up 3 Bell franchises. He was the guy teaching the agent all the tips and tricks to get the most out of the buyers. However, Scott realized that there was actually no one on the side of the person buying the property, and he saw them constantly letting emotion get in the way and paying way over for the property. And that's why he created Hello House, Australia's first property negotiation as a service business, where he is on the side of the buyer. In hot markets like we have now, you need absolutely every single edge that you can get. These agents are trained professionals, and they are there to get the most money out of you, which is why you need to have an expert of your own in your own corner. The way it works, you find the property, then Scott will come in at the negotiation phase and take over for you. This is how you'll get the property for its true value. He'll ensure that you don't overpay. He comes in, knocks the real estate agent down on price. No more agent games, no more tricks, no more tactics. He is there for you. Scott has been kind enough to offer us an amazing discount on his service, and I've personally just seen a friend pay $20,000 more on a property because of these agent games. Reach out to him with the link below. It'll be the best property investment you will ever make.
I was just
What
reading the comments, and good old the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Polizzi said something about if you're a good negotiator, shouldn't you call yourself a posiator, or what the? I don't know what he's on about.
I don't know what that one means. Brian, have I got gel in my hair? No way, mate. You know what I'm like. No, I'm ultra chilled. I don't need any gel in my hair.
No, I certainly don't either.
But I realised when I was watching that ad back that how creepy it is when I come out from behind the sofa like this to the couple, which is kind of cool. So I should have done that at the start of the show.
Didn't want to say.
All right, let's. For those of you who don't know who's, he's going to stamping anyway. Let's kind of stay on the stage.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you. I was reading your website. So you started, as I said, as the little video said, 1995 as a real estate agent. So that was crazy. I don't even like you don't look. You must have been starting at sort of at 13 or 14, running around sort of after the little picking up the auction. Yeah, so
I did school work experience as a real estate agent. That's how dodgy I was right from an early age.
Why wasn't I doing that? That sounds like I did my work experience at Target, which I mean, not a big side with it. But so you've worked a decade in resi sales, and you've got your investments as well. You were over in the UK. You've run a couple of franchises. I'm sort of ad-libbing this, and you've done. I think last time you said you bought about 27 or 28 of your own investments. Like how many is that? About that
29.
Yeah, 28 and 29 now. This in the last 2 months. Yep. I don't keep them all though. I've not been, as I've said multiple times in this group, I've not been smart enough to hold them all. I've been flipping properties, developing stuff, selling things to trade up and have a good lifestyle. I'm in this group to learn about being a really good property investor.
There you go. Make sure you don't DM in people, by the way. Bloody hell. We'll kick. Yeah. Anyway, I just sort of throw it in. So now you're focused on your young family. You get around, you have your kind of craft beers as well, and you manage your redevelopment of your kind of, you've got your duplex you're building there, I think. Is it a duplex?
Yeah, it's a subdivision, but it's 2 brand new luxury homes that I'm building, big family homes. Yeah.
And what you are is, and I think you do this very well, is you're vested in helping purchasers negotiate the best sale price, but also something that people may not know you for is you actually help people pick the best agent. So that's kind of what we wanted to get you on here to chat about, because it's the thing, like selling property, like when should people sell property, all those kind of, and not when should people sell property, but if they decide to sell property, kind of how do they
totally. Yep, and it's as relevant for people as it is on the buy side, and making sure that you make money on the way in and you don't overspend, is that when you do have to sell for whatever the reasons might be, and I'm definitely not out here saying sell. I'm just saying if you go down that path and you need to sell, do it right. and we'll teach you the right way to do it.
Yeah. Hayden's in the comments saying buy, or always be
buy, and then sell some. buy, sell the shit ones.
I dedicate this one to Hayden. I said that to him already in the comments before, so this one's for you, bro.
We want to get him on here. It's not about Hayden. So you ask the first question, Joe. You go.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, this one. Well, I'm kind of interested as a bit of a recap to get a bit of an understanding of. You're constantly negotiating on properties left, right, and center. How's the market going at the moment? Like, you're out there in the field selling deals and getting deals done. Like, what is the market looking like?
Yeah, well, it's tough on the buy side, right? Really tough. So for anyone out there looking to purchase, it's hard work. It's certain price ranges and certain locations across Australia. It's just absolutely crazy. But within that, there's opportunities, and there's, I guess I've been out there buying myself recently, and we can talk about this and unpack that a little bit about how doing those little things that we've discussed before when we did our negotiation session last time with you guys, that if you apply those traits, and you can do that even in a busy market, then there's still heaps of opportunities to buy really well. But of course, as hard as the buy side is, on the sell side for my business, it's really been easy because, my clients are getting some fantastic results, which is heartwarming for me. We've seen people, for whatever reason, as I said, make that decision to sell and normally exceeding expectations, which has been awesome. But yeah, it's an interesting market and it won't last. Having been through, 20 plus years, nearly 25 years of being an estate agent, this won't last. It can't last. Whether we've got another 2 months or we've got another 2 years, no one's got a crystal ball. But it's definitely going to change at some point. You really need to make a decision if you're buying, that you're buying for the long term. I think if you're going to, we're talking about from an investment strategy, and we can unpack the reasons about around that later when we dig into this more.
Yeah, so much to. I want to kind of pick up a couple of points. Sorry, Joe. So one thing I think in terms of, we've seen the potential changes in the lending, which is sort of a warning shot, a shot from APRA, that if things don't cool down, that they will sort of act a little harder. So to your point there, the other thing I'm interested to ask, and maybe we're going to talk about this later, but let's bring it up now. What are some of the reasons on the buy side, on the sell side? Sorry, what are the top three or top couple of reasons people are selling that you kind of come across?
I think people have taken this opportunity to trade up is a big one. So there's a lot of owner-occupiers trading up, and part of that is trading for lifestyle as well. So leaving big city, as has been well documented in the media, and moving to lifestyle locations because they've got so much capital built up in their equity in the house that they've got the ability to trade out and trade up. So that's one big portion of the market that I'm dealing with. Another part I'd say is investors that have overpaid 5, 8, 12 years ago that are finally seeing the market in certain areas catching up to where they paid or as close to where they paid to break even as possible. So I'm getting a lot on the agent selection side of people that are looking at their portfolio and saying, okay, now's finally the chance to offload, X, Y, and Z and roll that capital into a better investment strategy going forward. So there's probably two key types of clients for me that are trading, as well as people that are just moving as they always do up and down around that cycle.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm interested. What are there? Because clients come to you and they're like, "Hey, I want to negotiate on this property." Are you seeing people? I know your role is obviously to make sure that people don't overpay, but obviously emotion comes into it with a PPO. Are you seeing people paying too much for properties? Like, are you seeing people starting to be like, well, no, now I need to chuck in another 10. I need another $20,000 on top of this. Are you seeing that out there?
Yeah, absolutely. On almost every deal, people are pushing to their maximum and then having to go another 10, 20, 100 grand, depending on what their budget is, because they're under extreme competition from other buyers. But the buyers that are buying well are getting into the opportunities at a really early stage, either in the campaign at the very start or ideally pre or off market. So it limits the competition and it allows them to see more property choice. So those are the smarter ones that are doing well. But the ones that are paying what I call retail, that are competing at the back end of the campaign, they're competing against highly emotional buyers. Those buyers have had time, typically 4 weeks for an auction campaign. What's happening is they're going to bank at mum and dad. They're borrowing more money as a fallback option because mum and dad have got a lot of equity built up in their house, as we've just discussed. Typically, I'm saying this isn't across the board in Australia, but this is typically what I'm seeing play out in the more affluent areas. And then you'll end up competing with these people on auction day, and this is where that emotional premium is just going crazy. So buyers have got to be really careful. I'm constantly winding my buyers back. That they'll come in sometimes and say, "Yep, I want to pay X for this," and I'll say, "Okay, well, the comps aren't there. There's a few of these houses that look pretty similar to it. It's probably not. It's not good for my business in terms of the money that I could be saving and the commission I could be making or the performance fees I could be making, but it's better for me in the business if I put the right people into the right houses at the right price." So I've gone to great lengths to kind of make sure that they really get their value in line with where they need to pay to buy it. And I'm not afraid to say to them, "Look, you need to put another 10 or another 20 on top of this to buy it if they need to," because at the end of the day, the job is to secure it. Especially if it's a principal place of residence, people are highly emotional around that. And often if they don't land that opportunity, it might be some time in a rising market before they find the next one that's going to be suitable, which is going to cost them money.
Yeah, so just unpack that a little bit, because you said that it's like your incentives are aligned with the outcome of the buyer. I just wanted to get some clarity on what do you mean by that?
Well, I work with a target price. So I work with buyers that have got the ability to find their own property, and then they set me a target price, which is their maximum walkaway line in the sand. And I charge a performance fee of anything that I save below that target price that they set. So I'm aligned with them financially to buy the property as cheap as possible, and it's completely transparent. So that's really kind of the value in the business. And of course, I do all the work for them in terms of landing that property. So if they set it higher and I can still buy it at the same level of where I'm going to buy it, then of course I'm going to make a bigger performance fee. But that's not what it's about. I've been in it for a long time. So it's about, getting them in tune with where the market is. And of course, as I'm saying to you, it's costing a little bit of money for me in terms of the performance fee, but I'm building hopefully clients for life by doing the right thing by people and making sure we land the property at the lowest price we possibly can. Yeah.
It's interesting. I think one of the other things that's causing these sort of FOMO sort of conditions is just a lack of listings. I mean, we had the agent who we bought from today. We bought this close to 2 years ago now, and she was giving me a call and saying, "Oh, keen to come around. Like, we want to give you an appraisal on your property," and that's kind of course, to then build the next listing for them. And I'm kind of like, "Oh, that's interesting." I'm like, I feel like I could probably tell you what my property's worth more than. I'm not saying I know better than an agent. But I've got a spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet that tracks pretty much. So I'm like, I know what our property would sell for roughly. And I know it might go a little bit more, but it's just interesting to see that hunger from a lot of agents who want listings.
Yeah, definitely. The stock levels are way down. It's been highlighted through the media for most of this year. I guess there's an element of that may change when the borders start to come down and people can move around a bit. There's more transactions. Yeah, Queensland's opening up, but also just Sydney and Melbourne opening up as well. I think there'll be more stock that comes on the market when people have got that confidence that they can sell their own place and go and buy somewhere else as well. So, yeah, it's interesting. It'll be a. I was talking about this yesterday to a client that typically there's a certain run into the year, and you can almost measure it as an agent as to how the listings are going to go, what the buyer interest is going to be. But really, this year and last year, but this year particularly has just turned on its head, right? So there may not be a Christmas holiday break where people just kind of switch off and go to Palm Beach or Bali or wherever else. It's just it might just be all systems go right through that summer. So it would be a really interesting next 3 months to see what happens.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't think about that, because that is the golden opportunity for people to start, okay, we're all open now. Let's start putting our property on the market. It's time to sell. But no, we're not slowing down. We got stuff to do. We got a whole heap of stuff to do.
Yeah, and there's so many people that have been sitting there parked for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half that haven't been able to make those changes that they wanted to make in their life for their family. So I think there is going to be quite a lot of movement, and it may happen very quickly or it may happen over sort of a 3 to 6 month period. But there's going to be a lot of change. We haven't we've never seen this before, and how this plays out is going to be really interesting, as I said. So watch that space.
International borders reopening again soon. So
totally.
There might be sort of extra listings, but the international buyers or expats coming back home, and that may just sort of, the demand may stay the same or increase actually. So who knows?
And you've got a completely different wave, I was going to say, of investors coming in now as well. So there's a whole, we've been talking about principal place of residence, but there's this huge wave now of investors that are coming in. I saw with that APRA, pressure come in that instantly impacted some of the buyers that I was working with right now, that just put the brakes on them a little bit, or it changed their potential borrowing capacity. So it will have an impact if that continues to move. I've seen some people in the industry that have a bit of a profile say, "Oh, nothing's happened. It didn't make any dent at all." But I felt it almost instantly with a number of my clients that raised it as a concern. So Whether it's a big concern or not is a different story. Whether they're just being type of contracts.
Yeah, was that a material difference or was it a psychological difference? But then
material difference because it's going to impact what they can borrow, right, straight away. So yeah, I think it will have an impact on them. But this wave of investors that are coming into the market is going to change things. I spent some time on the weekend up in Brisbane talking to some colleagues at an off the plan project that I consulted to last year that I did some work on. And just chalk and cheese between when I left, I finished that contract in March with those guys this year, and it was already booming and more investors coming to the table. But prior to that, it was all owner occupiers for probably 2 years. They just launched another 400 odd apartments, and the vast majority of it is investor stock. Yeah, investor buyers. So it's just changing.
Where and why are these investors coming?
Like, where are they coming from? It's nothing but good news in the media about the property market, isn't it? Everyone wants a piece of it. So this is what happens. There's a lot of sheep that kind of just follow, and Brisbane's very buzzy. So there's just lots of people loading into Brisbane. You talk to it from a different perspective. They're developers and they're very active in that marketplace in the suburb or that within that region where they are in central Brisbane. And they're saying now, compared to 6 months ago, it's nearly impossible to buy a development site. It's going to Sydney and Melbourne developers who are paying way over the FISO just to get a foothold in the market. So they're just going to be plugging those properties straight into investors who's in their network in Sydney and Melbourne. So there's just going to be this oversupply again of, I think anyway, of cookie cutter apartments that are being sold to investors interstate.
Yeah. Off the plan, house and land. Not a fan, not a massive fan.
Yeah, I know you guys aren't, but it's relevant to what's happening in the marketplace for sure.
I like
investors are going
buying the house and land So I'll be the one building it and making the profit. But anyway.
I'm kind of interested, and maybe this is more of like a selfish topic. What are you up to nowadays? Like, you all of a sudden doing development, like you're growing this massive business. So I'm like, yeah, surely he hasn't got any time to, oh no, there he is. He's getting a development. He's getting a site. He's building a couple of luxury places on it. How's that process been? Like finding the development site? Like, I don't know. Talk to that. It'd be great to hear how it's going. Let's just pretend we're not live right now, but just having a chat. What's it been like?
I don't know. Ask my wife how that goes for her. Ask my kids who never see me very much. I mean, the beauty of this is I work from home. This is my office, and behind the green here is, well, the other side of it is the lounge room. So I'm always within earshot and within contact of the kids and my wife, and I'm home all the time in boardies and t-shirt and no shoes, which was always the lifestyle that I wanted to create. But I don't know. I mean, I've got the shiny object syndrome. I'm kind of always got, you guys are, me better than most of the people that will be listening today, but from the talks that we've had just off the cuff. But I have a lot of startup ideas. Joe and I are probably pretty similar, Jeff. I know that I'll wake up in the middle of the night, go into my iPhone notes and just write, business ideas that are stupid and make no sense, but they're just in my brain and they kind of need to come out before other good things flow from there. So Hull House is awesome. It's been kind of the big focus for me in terms of my working hours during the day. But the property stuff is the passion side of it for me. That's the side project that I just love. And I also really want to practice what I preach, right? Like, I think there's a lot of people in the industry that kind of don't build property investment portfolios or don't buy and sell lots of property but they're keen to tell you what you should do with your money. Whereas I'm out there, I'm just throwing caution to the wind. I have a crack, and that's kind of how I want to live life, really. I keep, trying to learn new skills, and I'm not doing a particularly wonderful job on the development side of it, but it's good fun, and I think I'm getting better at it as I've progressed through it. And this particular site that I bought, I think is going to be a really good financial one for us, for the family, and we'll create a family home at the back. We're going to buy some land off one of the neighbours. We've already got subdivision approval before we even settle on it next week. And I'll build those 2 houses and hopefully sell the front one off the plan for a premium. And that'll be a good deal. So already...
Perfect. Yep. So what have you done? You've bought a house and then taken the neighbor's block at the back, taken their land, and that's allowed you to build 2.
No, I bought a 1,351 square meter knockdown house.
That's a lot.
And massive block. Typical block size is about 600 square meters where I bought it. So it's more than double. And then I'll knock down the old 1980s house there, and I've got subdivision, as I say, to split that into 2 lots and build 2 brand new houses. And the guy next door has just bought a knockdown next door on 1,134 square metres. And I've in the process of doing a deal with him to buy some land off him that he doesn't kind of need right at the back corner to square off the shape of my block at the back and make mine a little bit bigger. So we'll probably end up with a 725 square metre or so block at the back. And we'll build 2. So it's better than a normal block in that location. But the beauty of it, of course, is developing the front one and selling it for hopefully a premium. Is the back block will cost me very little, and we'll build a nice big 400 plus square metre house, and hopefully stay there for a while. So I think I've said this to you maybe last time, but this is my forever now house. Like, there's no thing as forever in the Aggett house, and much to my wife's disgust sometimes, but it's forever now. And the longest we've ever done in a house is 2 years. So we say 5 years, but we'll see what happens. We probably both get bored.
You'll probably just build another couple, Why not?
Well, I want to do that every year. I want to build kind of 1 to 2 houses. I've been doing that for the last 5 years up here, big one-off sort of waterfront houses to sell. So I'd like to do that 1 a year would be great.
Maybe we should start AUS Property Developers. Let's do it. I think we should get that name on Facebook now. Maybe not.
There's a lot smarter developers in this group than me. Yeah, plenty. I mean, Brian Happ, who's listening right now, Brian would send me a spreadsheet on a FISO that he's doing on a property investment to turn around and do some major works to. And I look at it and I'm just dumbfounded with the level of DD that these guys do. So hats off to them. They are much smarter than I am. I just know my product really well and hopefully buy well and can design well and sell well.
Excellent. Well, we should get into the sale. Let's talk about sales process. We've been talking about. It's been a great chat. It's just absolutely flown by. But let's talk sales process.
Let's do it.
Let's do what we're here for.
That's it, exactly. Well, one of the things I didn't want to just jump straight into how to sell a property. It would be great just to. I just want to, there's a lot of newbies in here. There's a lot of oldies. There's a lot of people all in between. But let's just get a foundation. What does the sales process when you're selling a property typically look like? I know the States are slightly different, but what does it kind of typically look like from a seller perspective?
Well, look, it's pretty similar across Australia, right? There's all different methods of sale that agents will push in particular areas and for particular asset types and price ranges. But generally speaking, on any given weekend across Australia, there's probably 2,500, 3,000 auctions. So we love auctions in Australia. That seems to work in a rising market. Taking price out of the equation for a lot of people is the right way to sell a property. So that's quite typical in terms of how a lot of my clients will choose to sell and how a lot of the agents, the vast majority actually, would pitch. In different states, that changes. In Queensland, a lot of people like to do, a private sale. I joked to you guys before we went live on air that not only that Jeff was looking cute, but that that in Queensland there was a property on the weekend that was on the market for 15 hours. They put it on the market at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, and they said offers closing at midday on Monday. So people are just doing these crazy sales campaigns. In some ways, I think it's really lazy from agents because they're playing on the fact that there's a lot of buyers, and they can push those buyers into a small box and just make them kind of fight their way out of that box to see who's the winner. But it's not necessarily doing the right thing for the vendor. If you kept it on the market for another couple of weeks, introduce more people to it, allow people to get really emotionally involved in the process, do those prices get better and better than just selling within 24 hours or within the first weekend of being sold. So an interesting market, lots going on, lots to unpack if you're a inexperienced property seller. And even if you are an experienced property seller, Jeff has a really good understanding of what happens in the property game day to day on the buy side and the sell side. But even him, with his recent listing that we've just put on the market today with the local agent in Brisbane, there was a disparity of 50% plus on the commission structure between the 3 leading agents that I chose to pitch for the business. So that's significant because a lot of people will sit here and say to me, you can't have the best agents in the area at the lowest price. And in that case, 2 of them priced themselves out of the market, and one of them just showed you how hungry he was. And he was, in fact, a very well-experienced local principal with huge track record and was hungry for the business. And that's what happens. I find that, if we run that process of speaking to the leading agents, what comes out of that typically is that they'll show you how hungry they are for the business and how flexible they are. So you still can learn things even if you are an experienced property seller in this market.
So I want people to see, if people want to see the process that I went through, throw sell in the comment box, because I just love handing up the algorithm. But I had a question. So I was just chatting to the agent today. We went live listening today, and he said to me, it was kind of gauging where I was interested in a sale, and he said, "Oh, hey Jeff, do you mind if we?" Because what he said is keep it kind of relatively open in terms of price. In terms of, okay, you kind of want the people that are going to offer you your sort of lower prices you wouldn't accept, because then that sort of forces the competition. Is that kind of, what are your thoughts on that as a selling agent? Is that kind of a good approach, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, everyone's got their own take on it. And what I tend to do, I might have an input in some ways into how people are going to market the property, but really my job is to facilitate the vendor, the seller, finding the 3 best agents and then working through the process that they believe is the right way and what they believe the top way to get the highest price out of buyers and how to market the property right, rather than me trying to influence them in terms of saying, well, that's not how I would do it. Well, that's, I'm not in that marketplace in Brisbane every day buying and selling properties. So yeah. I think I will lean it back onto the agents each time and say, okay, well, we've picked the right agent for a reason. We know that we can have confidence in their decision-making. And if that's what they suggest to you to do a certain thing, then we should look at that seriously.
Yeah, it's really and it looks like people are keen to see. There's a couple of people that want to see it. So are we jumping it too far, Joe? Like you
feel like we are. I feel like let's.
Oh, okay, all right.
You got to jump ahead. Come on, guys. You got to stay. You got to
hold hands first. Hold hands
first. On for the good stuff. We can't just jump straight into it, because you talk about this thing, Scotty, as a leading agent, and I didn't create that word. I think you might have created that word. What the hell is a leading agent, and why should we care? What is a leading agent?
I thought it was tight.
Yeah, well, what's that? It's an old wooden ship. It's a very old wooden ship. Look, leading agent, I guess, I didn't coin that phrase, I'm sure, but I definitely used it from the start with the agent selecting business that I'm running. And it's very relevant, I think, and it's powerful in terms of the words, because that is the very thing that I'm going after for each of my clients, is to try and find the absolute market leader within that local area that's going to represent you to get the best possible price. And then as we skip ahead, I'll come back to it. It's then getting those agents to do it at the lowest possible costs. So you sell for a premium and you pay the least amount of money to do so. So that's the goal overall in terms of that business model. But in terms of what is a leading agent, well, I mean, I've got criteria that I look into, but it's going to be an agent that's got great market share in terms of current listings. And I'm talking match of what you're trying to sell. So if we use Jeff as the example here, he was selling is it a 2-bed or a 3-bed townhouse? 2-bed townhouse, I think.
They call them townhomes these days, because home is more like, I don't know. It's more,
all right, Mr. Vendor, trying to pump up the price already. Townhome.
I'm down. I bet we're
pretty sure it's a unit.
We're going to get the listing up.
Pretty sure it's a unit, but anyway, we'll keep going. So Jeff's unit is a 2-bed, and I want to find other townhome specialists. I don't want to find people that are selling waterfront houses in that suburb or commercial warehouses that might have great market share. I'm looking for the people that sell like for like the same type of assets that Jeff owns and wants to liquidate. I'm going to try and find people that sell at the same price points as well, so they've got a good, strong database and they're really consistent in terms of doing lots of deals there with buyers. I'm going to go to the sold section of realestate.com and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look at who's been selling those 2-bedroom townhomes, or 2 to 3-bedroom townhomes has got market share that's consistent with that, and an average price that's reasonably consistent with where Jeff wants to sell as well. So I'll research the value of the asset. I'll look in the buy side, look in the sell side. Typically, those agents match up pretty well. So there might be the top 5 agents that kind of are pretty well saturated across the marketplace for that type of asset. So you see the same names. But then I'll dig into it further. I'll look at customer service and reviews. So I'll go on to realestate.com. You can use things like Rate My Agent and things, but I don't particularly like that site. You can't leave a bad review on that site. And you can only leave a review, for example, if you bought the property or sold the property. So if you're a disgruntled buyer who got screwed over, or they didn't sell your property and they failed, you can't leave a review. So it's kind of
only if there's a transaction.
It's jokingly referred to as Fake My Agent, right? So And these these sites though, people think are gospel because they just pump money into marketing online, and their name is seen everywhere. But so I'll look at those things, because what you can't fake is 500 5-star reviews from buyers and sellers. That's obviously a good agent. So Rate My Agent does have some use for me in terms of that, to be able to see a cross-section of who the agents are. I'll look on realestate.com, and you can look at other sites as well to get a good idea of who's who. I'll look at things like branding, what business it is, whether or not this is a silly one that I particularly feel strongly about, but maybe other people would overlook. I won't list with any agent that uses a landline phone number, because I think that's a horrible user experience for buyers. It frustrates the shit out of me as a buyer. So, if you have to ring a reception desk, and if they don't have it, if the agent is not contactable 24/7 with a mobile number, then that is not an agency that I want to sell with. So I would just put a red line straight through those guys, unless they're, for whatever reason, which is very, very rare, far and away the market leader. That only typically happens in like a regional country town or something like that. It doesn't happen in most
mega high value place, right?
So one thing I found with the person we're using, they called me. They were calling me at sort of 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night. So they were sort of working hard, even though this is a principal of their agency. So this is how dedicated this person is. If there was something that needed to get done, just jump on the phone. And most of the time, I'm not answering the call, and I'll send them a text and say, "Let's chat tomorrow." But yeah, it was just interesting to see that there was that. I don't know, is that typical for an agent? I haven't sold a property in the last sort of 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I think a good agent. I mean, that's why probably I got burnt out of doing it for 20 plus years. I'm not saying I was a good agent, but I definitely put the hours in, and like a lot of really good agents in the career agents have done. And it's tiring, right? You're working 6 days a week in a suit. It can be hard work, so they definitely can work really hard for their money as well. And of course, right now it's all shiny Mercedes and gold watches and the rest of it, because they're making tons of commission. But there is a down cycle to this that will come at some point as well, and they will have to work hard for their money at some stage as well. So good agents like that are really contactable are high on my list. So it's how they, to go further into that, Joe, to answer your question, it's how they communicate to me when I reach out to them. So like Jeff said, are they going to be instantly responsive to me? Do they follow up? Are they on the front foot? Are they hungry for the business? Do they ask really good questions to qualify me further about the process that I'm running and who the seller is and what the seller wants to achieve? There's so many things like that good agents just shine. They're a cut above the normal agency. You just know those people are going the extra yards to get the right results. So all of those things go into the system for me, and I'll look at it, and then of course I'll go through and I'll interview them, and I'll talk to them on the phone and get a gut feel of who they are. And if there's an ego there, straight away I just redline them, even if they're the absolute market leader. If there's someone just a total wanker, and there's a lot of that, then I just say, no, you're not going to be the right person to sell.
What's the sentence that tells somebody that they are a wanker?
If you're talking to another, if it's agent to agent, right, which effectively is what's happening, because they know that I'm an ex-agent and I'm in the game and the rest of it, and I've got the negotiation service, so I introduce myself and tell them the background about what I'm doing and who I'm trying to help in terms of my client. If they go into this sales, talk about telling me how good they are and how many sales they've got and how many listings they've got and how they're smashing it and all the rest of it, and a lot of agents will, it's like, mate, back off. Like, it's just, you don't do that in the game to each other. So, anyone that starts like that, it's like, you're just an absolute A-grade douche, and all you care about is you and your ego, and you're not going to help my client here at all. You just want a paycheck. So just not interested in any of those really pushy salespeople like that.
So what does that sound like? So, like, I know you kind of made it a little bit clear there, but like for someone that's never dealt with an agent before, what is that actually? That's like them just saying, "Oh, well, look, I'm a real estate agent. I've been in the game for 10 years, and I have over 350 sales under my belt this past 2 years." Like,
got a 15-star rating out of 5.
Yeah, like a good agent is a really great listener. Right, so they'll ask really good, clear, concise questions, because they're always closing, always. Thanks, Ryan Senhart. And yeah, if you've ever watched $1 Million Listing. So, they're right from the very word go. They're listening about what you're telling them about the process, so they understand they can put themselves in box seat to win the listing. They're asking you key qualifying questions to understand what they need to do to get themselves into that hot seat, right? And the other agents just talk. They just talk nonstop. So as soon as you hear an agent that just can't shut up and just tell you how good they are, it's like, that's the sign, right? They're not a good agent. They're not listening at all, and they're not asking questions. They're just telling you how good they are. So you just that's an instant sign for me. And the other really key one, Joe, just to finish your question, the other really important one that I think a lot of people miss is that if you go for the top of the tree in terms of the absolute market leader, very often they're so busy that you won't get them at any stage of the campaign. You get their lackey who's been in the industry for 6 months or 9 months and doesn't have a clue what they're doing, can't condition, buyers to get them across the line, doesn't have the scripts and dialogues that the key guy or girl does, and you just don't get the same level of service or the same outcome. What you get is very often the gun agent coming in at the end saying, all right, we've got them up to 497, I'll push them as far as we can go, I've done everything I possibly can, take it. This has happened to me lots of times already, and I'm like, I'm not taking, the client's not taking it. They've asked me to step in because they're really not happy that we've had to deal with Joe Blogs the whole time, and then here you are, who we listed with, and we haven't spoken to you for 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like you just disappeared off the face of the earth. You sign the agency agreement and you win all the listings up front, because in the game, the throwaway saying is list and last, right? If you can be a really good listing agent, you last a very long time in the industry. So these good listing agents just set their day up that they're just in front of people all day trying to close listing leads. And then they've got a team of people to service all the buyers. And if they have to, they come over the top and finish the negotiation. So that's typically how it works in an office like that. So I don't want to list with those really good lead agents that I know aren't going to give us the time. And to harp on Jeff's one for a second, and no disrespect to Jeff's property or the price range it's in, but if you're going for, I mean this wholeheartedly, if you were going to list with someone that was, it's a lovely unit, townhome. If you were going to sell a property, you're going to list with a property, an agent that was going to sell $1 million properties all day of the week, and he sells houses or she sells houses, and then you're going to give them a property for 350 grand and they're carrying 15 listings, where do you think their focus is going to be? It's just not going to be on the $350,000 unit, right? It's going to be on the next house they can list that's going to make them triple the fee. So, and that's where their core market is. That's how they want to maintain market share. So the focus is always going to be on that. So you got to be, alive to that fact and realistic that you might want to go with the brand name agent, but you're actually not going to get that. You're going to get the Hyundai sales guy down the road.
Yeah, you just dropped a whole lot of value there. But I would like to unpack, how do we avoid that situation where we've got somebody here that is the leading agent and they're negotiating with you and they're talking with you, they sell you that they're going to be your guy, and then they throw you the Rebecca who
under the bus,
brand new.
Yeah. So two things. One, you read. What's that?
No, I was just saying. Joe keeps using. Yeah. Go on. How do you tell? Give us the goal.
Well, there's two things, right? So you research it up front, so you absolutely know who's got all that market share and where they sit in the pecking order in terms of the agent. So often I'll choose, as I said, it might be agent 2, 3, or 4 rather than 1, 2, 3 for that reason. Right? One, put a red line through it because they're just not going to give you that level of service or attentiveness that you require and that you need and you deserve if you're selling a property, because every property is worth a lot and it's a big decision. It's a huge decision for Jeff to sell a property for 350 grand. But it's just not the same for the agent if he's got $1 million listing in front of him or her. So that's one in terms of the research. But the second thing, and this is a really obvious thing, but it just doesn't happen often enough or very often at all, is that you need to call the agent on it, right? So I'll ring up and say, okay, look, Selena, we want to list with you, but my concern is you've got 12 listings at $1 million and you sell lots of houses. You're by far and away the market leader in this suburb. But we've got a 2-bedroom townhome to sell for 350 grand. Are we going to get you at every open for inspection and every buyer call back through the campaign? And if they say, oh, look, I have got a big market share and I am very busy and I've got a team of people that can handle this, that's a no for me. Yeah. If someone sits there right in front of you and eyeballs you and says, yes, I will do that, and I say, okay, great, well then I'll consider you in the mix. But if it'll be a sales answer. It won't be a direct answer if they're trying to weasel their way out of it. There'll definitely be some spin on it. But as soon as you hear the spin, you just know, move on, next. It's not going to be the right thing. So once you've been doing it, and again, this is why it's important to use someone that's really experienced on the buy side. I just cut through all that fluff really easy on the sell side because I've just done it so many times, right? Or I've been in that seat. So, I've got a lot of experience understanding what those trigger points are for me just to sort of pack up and leave that agent and move on to the next one.
What are some of the other things that would make you pack up and leave?
I think we've probably covered off on most of them, really. Ego's a big one. If they're not the right agent in terms of the type of asset sale it is or the price range it is the other ones. And then, the landline phone number or the bad communication to the market. And I'm talking bad communication to the market is like terrible quality photos, mistakes in the copy all through the ad, and you'll see this online when you look enough, you'll spot these things and just go, geez, that's a terrible photo into the back of the sofa. There's just zero care there taken by the agent, or their photographer. And if they're not there, taking control over those situations, what are they handing over to other people that they don't care about as well when it comes to negotiation time? So yeah, they're the kind of main trigger points for me. So it's a pretty set, criteria for me that they've got to tick those boxes. If they tick those boxes, then I advance them to the next stage and I get them to go through and see the property. And when they're seeing the property, I get them to do a full sale proposal back to me on email. And then I'll analyze that in real time with Jeff, the seller. I'll send it to Jeff transparently. So everything that lands in my inbox, he gets it as the seller. And then I'll do a comparison table for my clients as well and say, okay, great. Agent 1, 2, 3, here's their customer reviews. Here's the link, a URL link to their proposal. Here's everyone's market estimate, method of sale, marketing costs, sales commission. So you can see it on one page and you can make a decision like that really quickly and say, okay, well, here's the standout. These guys, 2.2%. This girl's 1.5%. And, offering exactly the same levels of service and quality and experience. So why would we not go with the person at 1.5% and ditch the guy at 2.2%? That's just a random example, but you know where I'm going with that. Yeah, and there's a vast difference in fees always.
Can we unpack the sort of elephant in the room? That a lot of people, I'm sure, are thinking that if an agent's willing to negotiate,
I'm like, which question?
If an agent's willing to negotiate their fee, then they're not the person you should sell through. Why is that kind of a myth and incorrect?
Well, no.
Say that again. Sorry, I was changing from beer to wine, Chardonnay to beer. Say that question again. Need to concentrate.
Okay. So let's just say we've got an agent who's willing to negotiate their fee. Why is it a myth that an agent who's willing to negotiate is the agent you shouldn't go with? Because if they're negotiating that, what else are they willing to compromise on?
Great question. That is the elephant in the room. Well done. We didn't actually talk about that beforehand, but that is absolutely a great question. That's the one I get battered for the most in the AUS Property Investors Facebook page. People will just hound me about, it's not possible to get the best agents at the lowest price. Well, let me tell you, it absolutely is. That's not a sales pitch. It is. Now, it's not always the case. I can't tell you 100% of the time I can get the best agent to do it at the lowest cost, but the vast majority of the time I do. And there's two real reasons I think that this has happened, right? One is I go to great lengths to tell them that they're one of the top 3 agents or the leading 3 agents that I found locally in the marketplace, and they are competing against their 2 main competitors. Now, if you say that to a salesperson who's good, that is a red flag to a bull, or red rag to a bull, I should say. And they are just fired up, right? So a lot of salespeople will say, well, I don't want to lose, right? I don't want to give the listing to my competitor. So that is instantly going to get them to come in with a really sharp pencil. So if you put your hand up, Jeff, and say, I'm going to sell my property in Brisbane, and I'm going to ring around a couple of agents and ask them what their fees are, they're going to give you the standard, whatever it is, 2%, 2.5, whatever their number is. But if you tell them that you're running a competitive process against their 2 biggest competitors locally, and that they need to come in with an ultra sharp deal to get the deal across the line with us, what happens, right? They just shave those prices. So I get lower fees than I reckon most people would if they went to the high street and tried this themselves. But then the trick of this, and this is where the value add for me is, look, to start off with, I should have said this or we should have discussed it. I run this whole process for free, okay? None of my clients pay. And it's because I get paid 20% industry standard referral fee by the successful agent on settlement when they sell the property, okay? So I get paid in the back end, which allows me to offer to do this for free to my clients. So because I'm doing that, right, I want to prove a little bit more value to my clients. So I'll say to them, okay, well, I'm going to run this process. We get all 3 of them to come through, but then I'm going to go back to the winner, the one that we choose. I don't go back and negotiate with all 3. To be fair to the agents, I only go back to the one that we know that we want to list with. And I'll say to them, and in your instance, Jeff, we'll use yours as an example if you're comfortable doing that. I think it was at 2.4% plus GST, and the others were
2.6.
2.6, okay. And the others were at 3.3 plus a 10% kicker. Massive variance. And I went back to him and said, look, we'll do the deal with you if you'll do it for 2% plus GST. And he said, and he gave me a bit of a spiel around why he doesn't want to do that. But at the end of the day, he's hungry to control the market and he wants to do it. So, we wiped 20 plus off 20+% off his fee, but he's 60% cheaper than two competitors in the marketplace. Like, it's substantial when you're talking about selling a property. And again, I won't harp on this, but at a low value property of 350, can you imagine how that is just multiplied when you're talking about 2 million, 3 million, 6 million? It's insane, the difference in terms of the cost if you negotiate.
What does that period look like? What does that sound like? How, you're like, oh, and then he shaved it off eventually. But what does that actually sound like? Because a lot of us don't deal with
You told me not to role play. You told me not to role play. We can do it if you want. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Guys, I'm on the line here. There's we don't speak to agents, right? Everyone here, we all not just dealing with agents every day, and that's your bread and butter. So I feel like you can like, oh yeah, we just negotiated it down. But what does it actually look like? How do you actually get an agent to move to that next level?
It's really easy for me because it's what I do all day, and I'll explain it to you because I think it's reasonably easy for people to do it themselves if they've got the gall to pick up the phone and do it. So I just ring the agent and say, yeah, I think the guy's name was Daniel, and I ring Daniel and say, listen, Daniel, you're the agent of our choice. We've spoken to the 3 agents. You're the standout agent that we want to list with, but you're not competitive on price. Yeah. So do you want the listing? Absolutely, I want the listing. Yeah, great. Well, we're prepared to do it at 2% plus GST. You're happy to take on the listing? And then he'll go into a spiel of, well, I already came in with a really sharp pencil. I know that the other competitors wouldn't have been doing it at the prices that I would, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, cool. Do you want to do it at 2% plus GST? He's like, yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah. It's normally the same conversation every time. And it's always me saying, you are the leading agent that we want to sell with. It's the same thing I do on the buy side.
Stoking the ego a little bit, yeah.
Totally. And you've seen me do this when I coach people on the buy side as well. When I go to buy a property, I'll say, we're already under offer, for example, on another property, but this is my preference. This is the property I want to buy. It's just the reverse of that I do to agents. You are the agent that we want to sell with, but you're not competitive.
Why does that work? Yeah. Why does that work? I don't get it.
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's just sales, right? Like, I'm just closing like they're trying to close us. And at the end of the day, I've got the cards, right, in this situation because I've got the listing and they really want the listing. So I know that I can play on that to a certain degree and negotiate them down. And, we're talking gun agents here. Like, we're talking phenomenally successful agents that are probably, in a lot of cases, earning more than $1 million a year. And the reason that they'll take these lower fees is because no one else knows, right? So they'll go out and to every other seller that they talk to, they'll go and pitch at 2.5% or 2.6% in Daniel's instance, and they'll get that fee. And so they can afford to take the odd deal that they have to cut corners just to maintain market share. Yeah, so maintaining market share is crucial here. That's the kind of center of all of this. They don't want their competitors to get the listing. They want to control the market as best they can. And the occasional deal where they do a lower fee is not really going to hurt them because we've chosen the right agents, right? They're not going from paycheck to paycheck. They're not short of money. They're successful agents driving nice cars, living in nice houses, living a good life. So they can take a slightly, different fee and it doesn't really touch the sides. And that'll dig into another whole, can of worms here, a rabbit hole around what agents get paid and how many hours that's involved in the work and how wages have moved over the last, let's say, 10 years versus property prices more than doubling. If he was getting 2% of, $1 million sale 10 years ago versus 2% of a $2 million sale now for exactly the same amount of work, their wages have doubled in 10 years or less, 7 years. So it's just crazily out of whack. So they can afford to do it for less.
Past 6 months, right? You're taking 2%. Oh, it was 500,000. It's now 700,000. Oh, in 6 months.
So if you're going to sell, so put yourselves in. Think about this: if you're a seller and you're going to put your property on the market on a Sunday at 9 o'clock at night, and it's going to sell on Monday afternoon at 12 o'clock, why the hell would you pay the agent 3%? Like they're doing how many hours worth of work? It's just not worth it, right? Like you could basically do it yourself if you could generate the same amount of buyer leads very quickly, and if you were a good negotiator, you could get a similar outcome to it because the buyers are just competing against themselves, pushing the price up. So a good agent will really work that and get you a premium. But these average agents that are charging you a phenomenal amount, are not particularly working that hard for it. So I think you can really push that because you're in the control seat in this market. Things are selling fast and for huge money.
I think we need to make a meme on this show. about. I think it'll be as popular as our headline meme, and then people agents will start hating us, man. We'll start getting hate mail. I'm a little worried. Maybe we shouldn't make a meme on that. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of hate from buyers agents. Buyers agents don't like me in particular, but that's all good. I'm a friendly guy. I can deal with it.
Easy, love. I mean, easy. We'd all have beer with Fleazy. But what I was going to say, it actually, from an average look, and maybe I'm not too far above the average kind of property investor. Maybe a little bit. I know a thing or two. I'm not.
I hope you've advanced a little bit in the last 12 months or so since you've built this page.
Probably a little bit, yeah. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. So I actually called up another. I didn't even have to try very hard with the other agent who started this whole process of me selling the property. And he said, the moment I said to him, "Hey, look, I've got this other agent who is kind of keen to do it at this rate," he just said, "Hey, look, I'll do it too. I'll do it at that." He didn't even, and I was a little worried that maybe he was that open to negotiating. Maybe I said a magic word or something. I don't know, but it's like he dropped his pants, he's ready to go. I mean, that's a little graphic, but sorry.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah. Don't do that in a mem.
It was very,
doesn't work with agents.
So no, it is absolutely achievable for the everyday person. One thing I wanted to know, once we start turning more towards a kind of a slower, more of a buyer's market, what are your thoughts on, is it going to be as achievable? Because it's not going to be, there's going to be more listings. So is an agent going to be as willing to negotiate their fees then?
In certain markets, it'll be harder to get them to drop the fee if it's really, really tough market conditions and there's a lot of work for them to go into it. But what will never change is that agents want money and agents want to control market share and dominate. So that even in a busy market, I would, as an agent, I still would have taken referral fees from outside sources to get a listing like that. And I would have cut my fees if I had to get a listing just because I wanted to control the market. So yeah, I think it's still relevant in any marketplace. But right now what you're dealing with, that agents will do anything they can to get these listings and get their hands on it. I'll give you a good example. I got absolutely smashed online, possibly in your group or another one, talking about getting the best agents at the lowest price. And one of the heads of a pretty large real estate group in Victoria, a very successful real estate chain, franchise group, basically called me an effing idiot and I didn't know what I was talking about and the rest of it. And I was doing an agent selection in Victoria, in Melbourne, within a week or so of that. And one of the leading agents in that franchise group not only did it for a much lower price, but was sending me text messages to say, I won't pay you 20% referral fee, I'll give you 30.
That was average.
And I was like, okay, so it's like, it's just smoke and mirrors what goes on in this industry. It's just so funny. Like up front, agents will tell you all the reasons why they won't drop their pants. They do not negotiate, and the best agents don't negotiate. All the buyers agents that are referring leads to agents that are going to sell for them that want a big cut of their fee will say to them, the best agents are worth the money and they'll charge you the whatever fee it is and you should pay it because they're the right person. But if you unravel this a little bit, and I'm giving you the inside, goss from having done this for 25 years and gone out to help consumers, is that agents are really flexible on this and really negotiable, and they desperately want the business. So that is just cold, hard facts. And again, as I say to you, it's not 100% of the time because I don't go out there and say every single agent's going to do it like this, but the vast majority of the deals I do are going to be on the basis of what we've discussed.
Yeah. There was a really great question come through from the audience, and I think let's we won't get into Q&A straight away, but this is from Megan. She said, "Is fixed fee the best way to get the best out of the agent?" I'll ask that a different way. What is the best kind of incentive? I know that's a long question, but
yeah. Well, I'll use my example. I just sold at auction on Saturday using what I believe is one of the leading agents locally in Mermaid Waters, and I had him at 1.5%. Up until a certain point, and 3% if he overachieved. And I paid him 3% because he got me $50,000 more than I thought he was going to get. Yeah, which was 5% more than what I felt the house was worth. So in that instance, I was happy to pay him.
So let's just use round numbers because it would be easier, right? Like it's a $500,000 property, and you said if you get me 500,000, you'll get 1.5%. But if you get me 600,000, you'll get 3% of the total package. Or 3% of...
I'll break it down for you how I typically do it. So normally I would have a percent. So let's just say they tell us it's worth 5 to 550. Okay. So we should everyone's saying we should easily get 500. It's just how far beyond that we're going to go. So, well, if it's easy to get 500, let's do 500 at 1%. okay? Because we're probably not going to sell anyway, so it's not relevant to you as an agent, right? So let's just put 1% on that. But then let's scale the next bit up and up and up and up, depending on what your performance is. So actually, I'll use a real-time example of how this works brilliantly well for the agent and the owner. 2 weeks ago, I agent selected on some clients that sold a property in Ryde in Sydney. I had the 3 leading agents go through. They pitched at 2.5 million to 3.2 million as the estimate range that the property was going to sell at, okay? So a really big range. Yep. They all came in at around 1.4 to 1.6% with a performance fee kind of slider north of that as well. So I got the best agent that we wanted to use that was the right fit at 1%, including GST, which is incredibly low for a leading agent in that area in Sydney. So she did it for 1%, including GST, but we put a kicker, a 10% performance fee at 3.3 million, which was she had to beat the highest range that anyone quoted by 100 grand just to access the 10% kicker. She sold it for 3.817 and 617,000 over reserve, which was 3.2 million. And she got 10% of 517,000 in addition to the 33,000, which was the 1% up to 3.3 million. So 84 grand fee. And this is human nature, right? Like the owner rang me back on Monday and said, "Oh my God." Yeah, well, exactly. And the owner rang me on the Monday and said, "Oh, I've just done the maths. I'm paying you like 84 grand. This is ridiculous." I said, "Yeah, but you sold the property for 617,000 more than what you
made 520,000, 500.
Yeah. It's human emotion. People just, don't kind of get it. They get wrapped up in how much they're paying and not how much they're saving. I'm like, that incentive drove that girl to work her ass off to get you the best possible price. And she just didn't stop. She could have stopped at 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. She didn't. She milked it for every single dollar it was worth, did a phenomenal job. That's why we chose her in the first place. And because you put the risk on her that she was going to enter into this and she had to get 100 grand more than all the other agents told you it was worth, just to beat 1%, I should say, fee, which was a terrible fee. So it works both ways, right? So if you have this performance fee, then that's the best way to incentivize agents rather than just going out and doing a flat fee structure.
Wow.
Because they could do a really bad job and you still end up paying them 2%. Make sense or too detailed?
No,
that's fantastic. It's super interesting to see how much they've got left in the tank. Like that's crazy. But a bad agent, right? Like maybe let's jump into our second ad, and then we'll come back from our ad with I want to learn a bit of some of the scripts and like dialogue to use with these agents, because you deal every single day with real estate agents. And how do you actually speak to these guys? Like, do we go hard nosed? Do we go soft? What are the best ways to engage these guys? And then I want to learn a little bit more about, if you've got time, about these guys, what poor agents are doing and how they can sneak deals just quickly, right?
Sure. I'll stick around.
Could have said that better, but
how much of the case study example do we have? Anyway, get into
how many what?
Oh, how much of the case study can you share of mine? I'm willing to share. We'll get to the ad and we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, whatever. I'm an open book, as I always am. So happy to share whatever case studies. My house that just sold on the weekend, your place that we just ran, whatever other customers as well. Yeah, we can do this.
Let's get easy on that.
Do it.
The amazing thing with commercial property investing is that in most cases, it's cash flow positive from day one, which means that you can drive those profits towards paying down the debt. There are instances with commercial property investing where you can actually have the property pay itself off over 10 years, which is absolutely crazy. With commercial property, you get massive net yield, so you can expect anywhere between 6 to 10%. And as we've seen in the current boom, these properties not only provide large cash flow, they do certainly grow wildly in value too. Now, with big rewards comes some risk, and this is why you should de-risk your investment as much as possible. And the way you do that is with expert due diligence. And this is why we highly recommend people hire professionals to help you along in your investing journey. Steve Polisi of Polisi Property is one such expert. Being a chartered mechanical and structural engineer in a past life, Steve draws on his analytical and mathematical skills to do that expert due diligence for you. With 6 years experience in the space, Steve has over 1,200 property transactions under his belt. He's the guy you want in your corner, crunching the numbers and finding the best properties in the best locations, along with ensuring that you avoid the mistakes. Steve has actually even written the book on commercial property investing in Australia. And not only is it a bestseller, I believe it to be the most comprehensive in commercial property investing on the market today. He's been generous enough to give us a massive discount for our audience of 50%. So use the code OZPROP, click the link below, get a copy today, and start learning and getting on your commercial property investing journey.
Go, man. I just want
I've
to start
lost
dancing.
sound. Completely lost sound.
Have you?
Did
you? Okay. Jeff, did you hear it?
Yeah, I could hear it. Yeah, hear it. Oh, man, I was grooving. I was like, that's so weird.
These AirPods are bloody terrible.
I'm back now. Sorry, the sound was.
He's a bit of an asshole, but he's back. He's back. He's back. Sorry.
Let me see. Let me see if this works very briefly, and then I'll get back in. Hang on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yep. Okay. Cool. Let's go. Cool.
So what were we gonna dive into, Joe?
Well, no, I just want to
case study.
No, well, not case study, but how do we actually talk to these agents? Because when I see an agent, they are very confident, they know what they're talking about. They're like, no, I'm not going to negotiate on price. What is there you go. What is the mindset that when you're about to pick up the phone to an agent, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, once you've got those three agents that are to the table that are interested in the listing, it doesn't happen that often that they won't negotiate because for all the reasons that we've just discussed. So I guess what I use against them is leverage, right? Like I say to them, well, the owner really wants to sell with you, but at the end of the day, if you can't compete on price, then, we're going to have to make a value decision and go with another agent. And that's typically enough for them to say, all right, well, if I'm going to lose it, I'll do it. Yeah, so it's just threatening to kind of take the listing away, and typically that ends up with them doing what you need them to do.
Yeah, but I feel like you're not doing it in I guess what I'm trying to get at is a lot of people come in at a very aggressive stance. Like when they're in a negotiation, it becomes that aggressive, oh, well, if you're not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it kind of thing. But the way you're saying it is it's a lot more casual. It's a lot more like, look, I really, really want to deal with you. You are the best in the business. However, there are three options here, and this is the best price. Can you match it? Can you be a part of this? And I don't really want to negotiate price is the best. And it's just a cool, calm, collected conversation. Is that kind of how it works?
You absolutely nailed it. And that's how I do all my business when I'm talking to any of my customers. It's how I do all my business when I talk to any people when I'm trying to buy a house myself. Aggression just gets you nowhere in life, right? Being short with people, being rude with people just doesn't work. I mean, I occasionally will get my back up and have a go at an agent if they're being a lying, we won't say. And I'll call them on it. I've had lots of stand-up arguments with people when I'm trying to negotiate where agents are absolutely lying through their teeth, and I'll just call them on it straight away and get in their face and try.
What does that sound? What does that sound like? What would they be lying on, and how did you figure it out?
Oh, just like some agents. One agent in Melbourne comes to mind recently that I bought for my clients that was working on a number of properties that they missed over. So I had to deal with the same guy 2 or 3 weeks over multiple times. And he just kept saying the same thing. If you pay $870, that'll do the deal. And we'd pay $870, and then he'd go, okay, well, cool. Now that's triggered the sale. I'm going to go back and speak to 11 different people. And then we're going to have a boardroom auction tomorrow at 2:00. And in other words, they always knew that would never buy it, and it's the dialogue that they use that he kept sucking in all the purchasers to make these decisions to go to a certain price when they had no chance of ever buying the house, right? So he was just underquoting and lying the whole time, and I just kept calling on him. I said, mate, I've had enough of you lying. There's a way that you can be in this business long term, and you can still get exactly the same results. Like my client's going to pay what they want to pay for this house, no matter what you say. But we can get there the good way, or we can get there the ugly way. You're being a fuckwit. Do it the right way. And and he didn't like that. I had a big argument with him, and this went on for quite a while. I had quite a few arguments with him, and eventually we bought a property through another person, thankfully. But those people have got to be called out in the industry. They're lying, they're cheating, and I can see straight through it because I've sat in that chair, right? I know why they're giving me certain lines at a certain time. I know what that means when they're doing it. And I know, that they could do it a different way, that there's a way that you can treat people and there's a different way that you can treat people that gets, the same outcome. So it's just a narrow-minded way of doing things. So when I approach agents in terms of, to answer your question, I just be honest and straight up and conversational and say, this is how it is. Like, we really want to list with you. You're a great standout agent. But at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents, right? Like, my clients have got 3 great agents. That's my job. I brought the 3 best agents locally to the table. You're just too expensive. You're not competitive. We want to give you the listing because we think you're a great person. You're going to be a really good fit with my client. You're going to get us a great price. We're really confident you're the right person for the job, but you need to sharpen your pencil. So sharpen your pencil.
And then quiet.
And shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silence seals a deal very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just flounder at the other end of the phone and then go, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, great, no problems. We'll list with Cheryl. Yeah. But you've got to do that. Like, I've got to be really confident when I'm doing that Cheryl, in that instance, is a really good backup, and that my client is really driven by how much they're going to pay that first agent versus going with the second one. So I would never do that and be a dick about it to the first agent. But at the end of the day, it's negotiation, right? Like, I'm there to try and get the lowest cost I possibly can for my client. So, it's the art of the sell, right? Like, I'm using my negotiation tactics against them to try and get that price down. But it's a bit easier for me in that situation because I've got leverage, right? I've got the listing. So it's a bit of an unfair advantage.
This is the biggest thing that I've noticed with our conversations on the negotiation side and on the vendor, well, because this is called vendor advocacy, right? Like, if anyone hears the word vendor advocacy, this is what Scott is talking about here. Leading agent finder, it's everything. It's all the same, but you always introduce competition with the real estate agents. If it is competition of another real estate agent when you're doing the vendor advocacy, or on the negotiation side, you're always introducing that extra competition for the agent, because you think, oh, well, no, I'm an adult, they're an adult, they're not going to play any games with me. But this is literally what an agent's job is to introduce and bid up for their vendor the price and get the best rate for their client. So they're going to have to play these agent games, and having someone like you is going to unlock that key.
Well, it's fear of loss, right? We've spoken about this lots previously in the last session we did on negotiating to buy, but it's introducing that fear of loss. And if you play on that, it's just psychology, right? Like, you put a vendor under the pump to make a decision when you're making an offer to buy a property, and you say, well, if you don't accept my offer, I'm going to buy something else. And again, you don't be a dick about it. It's got to be wrapped in the right scripts or dialogue and the right timing of it and the rest of that to be effective with that method. And I don't do it all the time. It's just in certain instances that works really well. And it's the same, on the agent selector side, you're very much holding the cards. And whether you use me or you do it yourself, what I'm saying is you hold the cards, you've got the listing. So play hardball, like really let the agents fight for it to get your listing. And, a phone call, literally a phone call, is going to make you $1,000 or $10,000 or $20,000. It's that big a difference. So if you can't be bothered making a 60-second call or a 3-minute call to save yourself $1,000 or 10 grand, then you don't really want it. So it comes down to just, making that slight bit of effort, getting better educated around this, and then, applying these tactics to make sure you get the best outcome you can.
It's one of the areas I'm interested in is on the sales side of things, because we know that agents play agent games with the buyer, the person buying the property. They're like, oh, I've got someone here, when you might not have someone here. But they actually play agent games with the vendor as well. Like, can we talk to what it looks like on the seller side of things, of some of the things to look out for as a seller about they might be trying to put a little bit of pressure on you to actually sell this thing at a lower rate? Can you talk to anything around that? Or is there any insights that you can share on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll use my example. Well, maybe not, because I don't want to be too hard on the agent, because I think he did a great job. But generally speaking, I'll give you some just examples of what they could do in this situation. I just want to be fair to I don't want to come across as, hammering particular agents, whatever, because that's not fair to them and their business as well. But generally speaking, you'll find that more inexperienced agents will try and wrap up a deal faster because they're just scared they're going to lose the payday, and they're going from paycheck to paycheck. So there's an element of them going to give you an absolute hard sell that you should take this price because it's the best price you're ever going to get, and it won't be there tomorrow. But it possibly will be there tomorrow if you experience enough in real estate to know that when you got a buyer on the hook, they're not going to go anywhere in 24 hours time. They desperately still want to buy the property tomorrow. And if you introduce more people, they're probably going to even want to buy it even more. So, if you've been in the game long term, then you know certain things as an agent, but junior agents or less experienced agents might sort of push you into taking offers earlier in the campaign. And the same at the back end, if they just want to get the property sold, they'll just tell you to take an offer because they're sick of, turning up to do open for inspections and they've been there for months working away without a result. Auction's a really key one. They'll work really hard. And we unpacked this a lot when we did the buyer side negotiation, but it's probably good on the sell side just to touch on this really quickly, that agents don't want your offer as a buyer in an auction campaign because it's going to set a level of expectation for the vendor. Okay, so if you get a really strong offer day one or week one of the campaign, then the vendor's expectations are going to be sky high. It's going to be difficult to get them potentially down to where they need to meet market in 4 Saturdays time. So the other way around is agents will they give you nothing through the 4 weeks, right? Because they don't want to encourage any of these high offers. And then it comes to setting the reserve and they say, okay, well, look, we told you we could get $1 million, blah, 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 but it's not me, it's the market. Don't blame me. I'm just the middleman. But everyone's only seeing value at kind of 8 to 850, and you should set your reserve at 850 if you want to sell. And you're like, well, hang on, fuck, you told me $1 million or 900 to $1 million. Why are you beating me down kind of on price now? But they're playing on that emotion that you're going to set them a reserve that's a lot more realistic for them to be able to get the property sold. They're playing the reverse game with the buyers. Comes to auction day, you're both under a pressure cooker. And if they need you to, if they need to twist the knife and get you to move even further down below that, then that's the time that can happen. So agents are really playing on those emotions as well at certain points. And that's why auctions are very popular for agents. They can control it like a puppet string the whole way through, like a negotiator poster. They can control it really well, and then they put people right under the blowtorch like that, which gets them an outcome on the day. So it's a very short selling process. So you've just got to be careful of that as well, that has the agent got your best interests, and are they actually working really hard to get you the best possible result?
Here's a good question that's just popped up, and we'll get to the questions shortly. But do agents not legally have to share all offers with the vendor? Kind of like when you ask a policeman in the US, are you a policeman? And they have to say, yes, I'm a policeman. It's very similar to this.
What were you doing when you had to ask that question?
No, I was doing nothing. I just had to ask.
Sure. Cool. Well, legally, they've got to put forward any offer to the vendor, and in different states that means different things. But any good agent should be putting forward their job is a facilitator, right? Like they're bringing the market to the seller. So, my job was as an agent, I should say, in the middle dealing with sellers, is to say, okay, well, this person thinks your house is worth X, this person thinks Y, this person thinks Z, and then work out how we can negotiate and build a strategy to get you the best possible price. And it's your job just to bring all those people together and control that process. But some agents might lowball you. This happens a lot, actually. Even now in this market, you'd be surprised at how often this happens. Like I'll ring an agent to buy a property for a client and say, this is me that says this as well, which is probably pretty naughty, but I do it anyway. It's probably something that everyone else can replicate too. I'll be like, well, it's on, you're saying your vendor wants $1 million, whatever. We see value at 950, but do you want to start at 900 and then drip feed me up to 950, or do you want me just to come in at 950 hot and just know that that's my best and final? And some agents, I ask that deliberately because I just think it's like a true sign of whether they're going to lie to you later. And if the agent says to me, oh yeah, give it to me, give me the low, I didn't hear that, just give me 900 or start at 890. And then I know, okay, well, I do it deliberately because I know, well, then everything that comes out of your mouth afterwards, I know I'm never going to believe a word of it. So if I'm negotiating against you now, or I need to deal with you, and you've certainly just put a giant red line through yourself for any agent selecting that I might need to do at a future date in this suburb. So, I make a mental note of those things, and I ask these lead questions.
Well, what does that mean? Like, what?
It means.
Well, they're trying to get their vendor. They're trying to get their vendor down, right? So they're saying, well, the vendor's expectations are $1 million, but if I give them 900. then, you know, they might come down to 950 or 970, and then we can kind of negotiate up in baby steps and see if we get there at 950 where you're prepared to offer. Versus if I go in at 950, then their vendor's still going to be at $1 million because they think, oh, well, the guy started at 950, you can pay 980 or $1 million or whatever like that. So they're doing it deliberately to beat down their client. So they just, you know, that's terrible, terrible behavior. But it happens all the time. So I ask that question very often because I want to know, is this person someone I can trust in terms of doing this deal? And unfortunately for agents, and this is what I keep saying, agents don't help themselves. Like you wonder why they've got a bad name. Like they just constantly bullshit, and they can't help themselves but lie in some instances. So there's a lot of really great agents, and they're the ones that I work with Agent Selector all the time. So I'm not poo-pooing the industry, but there's a lot of really shit agents that can't get out of their own way. And, you know, if you can find out who they are in the process of doing a negotiation or the agent selecting process, then
you want to buy it.
Yeah, you'll dodge a bullet, right? In terms of that's certainly someone that you don't want to sell with.
Yeah. Should we how much of the detail do you have? I know you've got a bit of detail. Should we go to the case study and then go questions, Joe? Because I'm just mindful we're at an hour 20.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I'm interested because you haven't told me anything. So let's just pretend. I like pretending that we're offline. I like pretending when we're offline because we usually end these sessions and then we chat for 20 minutes and it's like the best part. I'm like, why didn't we just record this? Like, why was this not live? So let's just pretend we're offline. Jeff, what's going on with your deal? How was Scotty with the bloody negotiation thing?
Well, should I let you kind of tell because you've got
Scotty, okay. Well, I haven't chatted to you for a while, Scotty. You're helping Jeff out. What did it actually, what's it looking like? How did it go? How's it going? It's still going, right? We just listed.
It's just started. This is the fun bit, right? Like the property's just come on the market today, but we've got the right agent for him, who's a good fit personality wise. I think he's a hungry agent. He's principal, got lots of experience, and we got him down, you know, another 20-25%, and he's probably 50 to 60% cheaper than his competitors. So we've already started in the you know the right vein, and yeah, hopefully today is the launch of it, and he gets good traction from buyers and sells it for a strong price. I don't really want you to sell in the next 24 hours either. I'd rather you get through the first 2 Saturdays and test the market and gauge what the response is.
How was the competition?
If somebody wants to offer me 450,000, I'll take that. 450. Let's
100 grand over, but okay.
But what if someone was out there that was prepared to pay 460?
Well, I'm willing to accept that 10,000 less for that.
Okay, well, as long as you're aware. All I'm saying is I hope he brings you the market and you can make an educated decision as a vendor.
Let's talk us through how the process started. Like, what did you when you first kind of picked it up? You run your filters. Like, how do you run those filters? Like, what is the like?
It's pretty quick for me to. Yeah, it's pretty quick. I mean, most of it you can do on realestate.com. For me, because I'm a trained eye and I'm doing this all the time, it probably takes me somewhere between 20 minutes and an hour to run that process. And then it's reaching out to those agents and you know, working out the personalities and the right fit for you as the seller. And a lot of the times there's subtleties, like I represent a lot of female sellers, a lot of female investors in particular, and that are a long way from their property. So the average, I don't know if you know this stat, but the average investment property in Australia is 293 kilometres away from your home. So it's a long, long way, right? Like that was quite shocking to me. So, you know, if you're in Melbourne and you're selling a property in Cairns or Brisbane, you're not watching the market. You need someone that you can trust. So going back to my point about dealing with a lot of women, it's quite important to a lot of my clients that they have a female lead agent that they talk to as well. So I always make sure I've got a female agent that's a strong agent that's in the mix as well. So it's little subtleties like that. And I'll know, you know, you're an analytical guy, Jeff. You're going to be a high-level communicator. You want someone that's going to work hard and show that to you. You don't want someone that's full of ego because you can see through that. So, you know, just from talking to you, I know who to rule out or rule in when I start talking to those agents. So it's very much a bespoke service. So there's the filter part of it, but then there's that element of, okay, well, who is Jeff or who is Joe in this instance, and trying to find the right fit for you as well in terms of life experience and as an agent and who's going to communicate to you clearly. So it's definitely a hands-on, you know, measured selection service.
So Jeff and I are similar, but we're also very different. Would you have given me a different agent? Would you have been like, you know what, Joe, actually, I think this process, you're going to get along with Agent Y. Jeff is going to love Agent X, but Agent Y is going to be a better fit. Would that sway a decision in terms of like, would that come up at all? Like,
potentially in that instance with Jeff's one, probably not. Like that was a good fit for you or Jeff or me even selling. But other instances, it does. It changes dramatically. Like you might have a fit that is really great for a 65-year-old woman who's selling an investment property versus Joe who's selling his principal place of residence and is 30, or whatever it's chalk and cheese. Like you're going to, you might want to see the person drive down your street in a Mercedes and think, okay, guy, this girl's really successful. She looks the part, she speaks the part, she's going to, get my job done and get it at a great result. Whereas the 65-year-old person in Noosa might think, well, I don't want the ego. I don't want any of that. I want the real estate principal that's been there for 40 years and knows the market inside out and has got trust and transparency and is a really easy person to talk to on a more conversational level, So there's just horses for courses, right? So, yeah, you just got to try. I think that's going that extra way and trying to handpick the right person makes a difference to selling. Because I know that with me, if I'm going to sell my property, it's very much about the personality. I've got to trust that person. They're going to be ringing me every day for the next 40 days or whatever, and they're going to ring me multiple times a day sometimes. They're going to get me at my worst. They're going to get me at my best. They're going to get me at my busiest. They're going to see me warts and all with my family. I want to know that they're someone I know, like, and trust. So actually, there's definitely going to be an element of that.
It's a good point on the logistics side of things. Like, you don't manage absolutely all the communication with the agent when it becomes to the selling side of things.
No. The beauty of pulling the best three agents and going with a great agent that's going to be the leader out of that pack is that they don't need my help. So I clock out really and say, okay, Jeff, here's Daniel's email address and vice versa. I copy them into an email and say, good luck, guys, for the sale campaign. I'm here the whole time on call. Whenever you need me 7 days a week, ring me for advice. Ring me if you want to workshop anything on the fly. But they don't need me. I don't want to get in Daniel's hair. We touched on that before. Like they don't want an outside influence trying to tell them how to sell property in Brisbane when that's not what I do. So, you fall back on your research, which is these are the best people for the job, and then you give them the tools and the trust and the confidence they need to go forward and do a really good job for Jeff as the seller. But then I'm on call the whole time. So if Jeff wants to ring me and say, listen, we've got 360 and we've got, unconditional and we've got someone at 372 that's conditional, what would you do? And that happens all the time with my clients. And I'll say, okay, well, then let's weigh up the pros and cons of both those things and workshop how to, what the best fit is for you, because every seller is going to be different in that scenario as well. And Jeff might say, well, I couldn't care less about waiting 10 days. And if this falls over on the finance clause, we'll just sell it to someone else. The market's rising. There's an investment property. I'm still getting rent. I couldn't care less. Whereas if it's a principal place of residence and
they need to buy somewhere else.
Correct. They've got another property that they want to buy right then, and they've got a very small window to trade. Then it's very important. So you just got to weigh up those things and give the right advice at the right time.
Yeah, I think the I don't know if this is I don't know if I've done this when I've sold previous properties, but the thing that really is a good tip is getting them to send you their proposal in writing. And reading through and seeing if it makes sense, because in reading two of those three proposals, I could almost say that I didn't really want to deal with those agents straight away.
Yeah. Why is that? What was it? What pointed at that to you?
I just, they didn't seem to want, it was just in their tone of the email. I know this sounds funny, but I mean, tone in an email is very important for me. And for some people, it might not be important, but to me, that's kind of tells the story as the way they're going to be throughout the process. Because how people do anything is how they do everything, right? So,
these emails, they're going to be like stock templates. Some of them,
they were, but
that's the problem. That's the problem there already. It's a stock template. There's no effort that goes into it. It's just a generic response. And to Jeff's point there, like some of the agents that I'll see, I'll write to them and say, okay, well, I want you to give me the market estimate, what we need to do to the property, if anything, to get the best possible result, method of sale, and the rest of it. And some will write back and say, well, we could auction, we could private treaty, we could do offers over, we could do an EOI. And I'm like, but you didn't answer the question. You haven't bothered. I asked you to go there as the expert and answer the question, and you haven't done it, right? Other people will just respond to my email and just write 2%, 600 to 650, 600, $6,000 on marketing. And I'm like, well, you've just done fuck all. So there's just no chance I'm giving you the listing because you've just made zero effort at all. Other people will write these giant proposals with 15 attachments and just say, look at me, I'm so good. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Here's me in a Mercedes. Here's this 5-minute video of me jumping out of a helicopter coming to someone's penthouse apartment to sell it. And it's like, no, I don't care about any of that stuff either. Give me the real stuff. And as Jeff said, some people will write really, really personal things like, you know, to get the best result for this apartment, we need to Photoshop the furniture into the photos because they've got a mattress on the floor in the living room, and that's not going to be the best way to get the highest sale price. But it's those things, right? Someone that's thought about it. I had an agent last week in Brisbane say to me, we need to put white pebbles down in the garden. We need to sand the staircase because the sun's faded it. And we need to high pressure hose the front of the house. If you do those things and I can coordinate all of them for you, is what he said, at a very low cost, like at cost price, and I'll do it all for you, then I believe that I can get you the best possible result. And his version of the best possible result was 20 or 30,000 more than the next agent who had not given us any detail at all and just said, well, I can do this and it'll cost you $6,000 in marketing. So it's just those little bits of detail. And that resonated really well with my client who said, well, actually, that agent has gone really hard at thinking the best way. He also really went into the method of sale and said, look, we could do this, but this will equate to that outcome, possibly in this market. We could do this, and I believe this is going to get you the best result, and here's why. And kind of broke down why you wouldn't auction it, why you would do a private treaty price sale. You know, so it's just those little things like that are just, it's attention to detail, and you know that that's someone that really cares. And as Jeff said, you know, the devil's in the detail, right? Like if people that are going to that length to win the listing, then you know they're probably, you know, turning over every stone to make sure they get you the best possible price, because that's what they practice, what they preach. I just noticed just then there's a question in the chat box, why aren't eyebrows considered facial hair? That is a very good question.
That's for lazy for sure.
But they are considered facial hair. That's not even a question.
I'm not sure. I've got some good ones like Johnny Howard, but
go Slugs.
Yeah.
No Slugs McGee over there.
Yeah.
On that note of the case study, should we crack into some questions? Because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of
Go.
Let's
Q&A.
I'll be back.
He's got to go. He's got to go.
Oh, he's got to go to the toilet. After all that, he's off to the toilet. I thought he was going to ask me some serious questions.
What are you doing, Jeff? We got questions here.
Do you want to answer some of the questions in the chat?
No, that's what he's going to go find. I don't know where he's at.
Well, Joe, do you want to throw me some questions for the users that are at home and
mate? Well, let's just go through these bloody ones here. This is easy. I don't know what he's doing. He's a maniac. God, there's a lot of banter in here. What have you got? You see anything of interest here?
There's one there that I assume he's talking about.
Actually, that is a good one. Throw in your questions, people, because it takes time for us to go through all of these. So if you do have any questions about how to find a leading agent and any questions relating to agents, pop them in. Or if you have any questions on the negotiation side, Scott is here.
Yeah, I'm happy to help and be an open book. I think there's a question there that says around me possibly paying my agent between 1.5% and 3.5%, depending on how you think she did with the sale. I guess if that's the one that's referring to my sale, it was a he, not that it matters, but it was 1.5% to 3%, not 3.5%. But it was definitely performance driven. So if I've got the right question there, and correct me if I'm wrong, actually what he did, so even more than just a performance fee in terms of a structured fee of if he achieves this price, he gets paid X. He actually wrote an agency agreement that said 1.5 to 3%. And after the auction, I get to choose what I circle based on the communication and the whole outcome. So that's I think that's a really great ploy from an agent, because he's like, I'm going to back myself here. I'm going to do a phenomenal job, blow your socks off, great customer service, phenomenal result. And I'm going to go on the basis that if you weren't happy with that, you're going to give me 1.5%. If you are okay with it, you'll pay me somewhere in the middle. If you were really happy, I'm going to get 3%. But if I went in at 3% to start with, you never would have paid me, or I never would have got the listing. So that's a clever way to do it, right? And I was happy to pay him because he just absolutely went above and beyond and smashed it and got a good result. And people will say, yeah, well, partly that's the market. And certainly it was the market in terms of it gave him the ammunition to be able to do a really good result. But his process that he ran to get the amount of buyers that he did to the day to auction, and then the structure that he ran while he was auctioning the property and the negotiation that he did and the fight that he put on to get the buyers to a level that I was happy to sell at was worth paying him the 3%. So I hope that answers the question. But I really like that approach of 1.5% to 3% based on how well he did. And it was irrelevant, the 1.5%, because if he did a crap job, I was never going to sell. There was no pressure on us to sell. We didn't need to sell. We were only selling to release capital to go and do the development site. So I said that to him right from the start, that if it's not at the right price, then it doesn't make any difference what you charge me.
Exactly. And you made it super clear at the beginning that's exactly
communication. Yep. Communication is everything. Yep. Hang on, but you have answered my original question. If it was a good idea to go for her, as she said, I can't read the rest of that question.
He was saying that was the his situation. You choose between 1.5 or 3%, depending how you think she did this. So I don't know. I'm lost now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't quite get that. In terms of, there's a question there about property managers, and is that something that I can do to filter property managers? I've done this tons for clients. It's not something that I aim at in terms of negotiating property managers down. I've written blog posts on how to do it. So if you go onto my website, in the blog section, there's an article specifically around how to negotiate property managers down. But it's the same thing really that I talk about on the buy side and the sell side. Use leverage, talk to multiple different property managers so you get an idea of who the best in the market is, and then play them off against each other to get the lowest fee. It's really important in property management because you're locking yourself into a really long relationship. Typically, if they're doing a good job and you want to hold for the long term, it might be 5, 10, 15 years. So if you're paying them 5% or you're paying them 5.6%, work that out as to what it works out over 10 years. It's a substantial amount of money. It's thousands of dollars. So it's worth fighting for it. And I can absolutely tell you, especially in Queensland, it's laughable. Like they tell me, it's 7.7%. It's like, well, I had a business in Sydney that did way more volume than you guys, but did exactly the same amount of work in terms of leasing a property and managing a property. And our average property management fee was 4.86%. And we had massive staff costs, way more overheads on rent and everything else in the business. And we could still build a very profitable business out of doing that. You're charging me 7.7%. It's like the 1970s using a software system that's out of nowhere. Like it's so backwards, the whole thing. And you want this enormous property management fee for just collecting rent. Like it's just ridiculous. So those ones I just tear apart. So I think if you just run the same process of speaking to the best property managers and then playing them off against each other, and make sure you get the lowest possible fee, because they're all doing exactly the same thing in terms of managing your property. And if you're talking to the best property managers, then you're going to get great service. If you're talking to just comparing any old property managers, then there's a vast difference between what you'll get in terms of customer service.
Now, one of the things
only talk to the best.
Only talk to the best. But if you're negotiating with someone and then you play hardball with them, do you think that they're going to treat you differently throughout the next 2, 3, 4 years if you've push them down on price?
No. As soon as they get, like I've seen it a million times. Like you sign an agency, you play hardball with an agent, you sign the agency agreement. As soon as the pen hits the desk, they're your best friend. They've got the listing. It's a huge relief for them. They've got you across the line. They've locked in a fee and game on. It's the same with property managers. It's the same with everyone. Everyone's like, we're salespeople, right? At the end of the day, like it's getting the deal that is the big wins. So I think you've got to be really tough in the negotiation and make sure that you get the best possible deal for you, because you're still going to get the same level of service whether you're paying 5.1% or 6.1%. It won't change anything at all. It just means that you're overpaying if you pay 6.1% for the rest of your life while you hold that property. And why would you do it? I'm brutal 100%. About that, but why would you do it? It just doesn't make any sense.
100%.
So let's just see. I had I don't know if we've already sort of covered some of this. I'm sure we would have, but let's crystallise this question that I want to ask. So what are some ways to, when you're looking to buy, this is somebody in South Australia, they said, what are the ways to get busy agents in a hot market to return your calls? Like how do you, like obviously you've got a bit of leverage, but somebody, the average punter, how do they do that?
Are you talking on the buy side?
Yeah, the buy side, yeah.
Yeah, on the sell side, they're going to call you non-stop and badger you to death because they want the listing. On the buy side, it's a constant thing of people that just completely ignore you. in terms of agents. And it can be really frustrating and hard. The only way to do it, I think, is to fall back on what I teach everyone, which is you've got to be top of mind with agents, and you've got to build rapport with agents, and you've got to be laser focused in a very small area, ideally 1 to 2 suburbs. If you do that and you're in their face all the time, because by nature of being in 1 to 2 suburbs and watching the market like a hawk, you're going to be at all the open for inspections. You're going to be at the auctions. You're going to be in their face. You're going to be talking to them all the time to get their opinion on different properties. You do that, they're going to take your calls, right? They're going to remember who you are. If you're just one of 200 faces they meet on a Saturday, or 200 phone calls they've got to answer on a Saturday, it's very difficult to get cut through like that. So I think you just need to really laser focus and build that rapport with agents to stay top of mind.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything to be said? I mean, of course, if we're property selling in between, some of them selling 2 to 5 days, is there anything to be said of, instead of trying to call an agent on Friday or Saturday when they're probably their most busiest, how about calling, I mean, I don't know, maybe an agent's busy on a Monday or Tuesday as well, but what about kind of Wednesday, or is that a better time to call, or is that just something I've made up in my head?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that too much, to be honest, in terms of when to try to approach them. I think the key to that probably has some merit, what you're saying in terms of that, because they're super busy on a Monday and definitely busy on a Saturday. Friday, they're probably out for a boozy lunch and whatever else. I think the best way to do it, though, is to have a consistent approach to it, because it's not about calling them once on a Wednesday, which, like I had a client yesterday say that he'd rung some agents a couple of weeks ago and no one's rung him back. And I'm like, well, I mean, they've probably had 500 phone calls a week. Like, who are you? You know, not in a disrespectful way, but I just mean you're on their, list of people that are going to call, that you're just not in that hot list. They're dealing with the buyers that are making offers right now and the people that are just about to sell your house. So above and beyond that, they're just too busy. So you need to stay top of mind. So consistency is the key, really, in doing that. So, that little trick that I always put in the comment section of just writing that BCC email, sending it to stay top of mind every single week with agents, just works for so many of my clients around the country. So if you just consistently send that to the leading agents in your area, they're going to remember who you are, and then you call and say, hi, this is my name. They're going to know who it is.
What about a text?
Because no one else is doing that. No one else is doing it.
If you're just pumping out.
I used to do that, but yeah. I mean, probably notice regularly, but yeah.
Same kind of thing. Send an email, follow up with a text, send an email, follow up with a text.
Yeah, sure. Anything to stay top of mind like that, but it's got to be consistent. You've got to really know what you're looking for. So really hone in on what you're searching for. Know what your key metrics are. Whether it's a 3 to 4 bedroom house, minimum 400 square meters, got to be in Mermaid Beach, got to be a knockdown, and I'm finance approved to $2 million. Whatever the key metrics are for you that you're going to look for is just what you just rinse and repeat every time when you talk to the agents. So it's really the consistent way of doing it. Like, I talked to a buyer today that I'm trying to help locally in Miami, and he's like, well, how do you do it? And I really unpacked it, which was, I haven't really thought about this very, very much. I should probably write more content around this in terms of how I do it. But we talked about how I just bought the last one in Mermaid Waters. And I was negotiating 4 properties at once, all of them off market that I generated in what is Australia's busiest market and in a super busy price range and a super busy suburb. I had 4 of them at once off market that I was negotiating. So, it's down to really knowing what you want. I was very specific about what I wanted. I'm like a dog with a bone, so I chase it hard and hard and hard. I'm like, ninja level on realestate.com in those suburbs. Like, I am on there 10 times a day. I shit you not, I'm on there more than any other human in the world, because I want to know what's going on in that marketplace. Like, no one is going to know more about what I'm trying to buy than me. I'm going to go and see 50 properties before I buy. I'm going to know all those agents on first name. I've got all of them in my phone with their names in it. Like, I know who they are. I can text them 7 days a week and I'll get a response from them. And it's not because of me at Hello House. It's because me as a hunter, as a buyer, like, I've just built this system of, I'm going to find every property that I want, and I'm going to do it, when I'm ready with finance and I can do it, I'm going to do it really quickly, and I'm just going to pour the gas on the fire and just make sure I generate opportunities. And it just works really well for me doing that. And anyone can do that. It's got nothing to do with me being an industry expert in that regard. I think anyone can follow that, that manual that I've coached people to say, okay, if you do these simple things and you do them often enough, you're going to be in a position where these people respond to you really quickly because they know you're serious. You can back it up.
Somebody's called you a hunter as well. You're not the negotiator anymore, you're the hunter. That's good.
The hunter. Yeah, sorry.
Process.
I don't mean that in an ego way, a wanky way, but that's kind of, what it is. I go into hunt mode in terms of that because I'm pretty brutal with trying to find exactly what I want when I want.
You totally want to do that, right? Like and this is the crazy thing. I hear people in the group, they're like, oh, I don't want to use a buyer's agent, which is absolutely fine. But I don't want to use like software and I don't want to do the research. And I'm like, you don't want to spend money. You don't want to spend time. You don't want to spend energy. It's going to take time, energy, and effort.
But you're going to spend money. You're going to spend money. Yeah, if you don't want to do any of those things.
You just go straight in. You're like, I know exactly what I want, and I'm just going to go hunt for those things. 100% how you have to do it. There needs to be
I was going to say one thing that a lot of people don't do, and that is really important this is what I've learned from being an agent that maybe some other people don't understand that are buyers, is that if you go and see these properties and you do all this stuff to stay top of mind and you get these opportunities pre and off market and you do all that heavy lifting, right? But then you don't communicate with the agents or you don't jump when they say jump, they're never going to call you back. They're never going to treat you seriously. So when someone asks me to do something, I do it instantly, right? Like if they say to me, well, we've just found something in Miami and then this off-market one and she might sell, I'm there in 5 minutes. I drop whatever I have to do and I get there. And if you can't drop it because you're at work or you've got 5 kids or whatever, get there at 6:05 when you can. Like it doesn't matter how you do it. Send someone else to go and look at it, whatever. But if they're going to create those opportunities from all that hard work that you've done, you've got to take advantage of it. And if you can't take advantage of it, they're just never going to take you serious. So that's something that I've lived and died by really in terms of this. Like I will go to whatever lengths I can to get in the door before anyone else because I just want to limit my competition, eliminate the competition as fast as possible. And I want to see more of the market than any other buyer. That's my goal every time I go to buy is I want to see more than you two. Yeah. So if I'm seeing more of the market, I'm seeing the best. Right? I've got the best choice, the widest choice.
See, I'm actually kind of interested in this. Now we're steering down your negotiation space, and I think that's fine. I don't think everyone's watched the live session we've done together. I don't even think we covered off this answer, but like you find that property. How do you get the agent to sell to you as the first person that's walked through that door? Right, you're there. Hey, I've just listed the place. It's 5 p.m. Oh, Scott. Yeah. Oh, hello. Oh, I just listed it. Yeah, Scott here. But what are you saying to get him to? Well, you get there, right? But you look at it, you're like, yes, that's what I want to do. How do you actually get him to sell it to you?
You can't all the time, which is why it's a numbers game, right? Like why it takes me 50 plus properties.
Options, right?
Correct. So I was playing 4 of them off at a time, and it got to a point where 2 of them I was waiting for an answer on, and both of them could have come back and said yes on the same day, and I would have had to make a decision on which one I wanted to get, which is the ultimate scenario, right? That you've got choice, and no one else has got this choice in the market in those areas that I was looking at, or not many other people that I'm aware of in terms of buyers. So it's about creating as many opportunities. It's a sheer numbers game because most of them, Joe, are going to come back and say, thanks, but there's another 50 people on my database that want to see it. So I'm preying on the fact that I've either got one of 2 things, an agent that's motivated to sell the property, which is huge, okay, or 2, a vendor that's really motivated to sell. And if you get both those things lined up, that's the holy grail. If you get an agent that's really motivated to sell, that's a huge help. If you get a seller that's really motivated to sell, that's a massive, massive help, right? If they've got someone that's a forced seller or a really motivated seller that just wants to get out of it, wants to cash out or got something else to buy or whatever else, then you put a compelling offer on the table to start with, and you're going to go a long way to buying the property. So, I mean, we can go into this a lot further in terms of the negotiation side of it. I know you're nearly 2 hours into it. I'm happy to keep talking, but maybe people aren't happy to keep listening. But yeah, but well, I was going to say, I think my first offer does 95% of my heavy lifting. Okay, so when I'm going through and working out where I see value, my due diligence, and where I'm going to position my first offer, most people just throw offers out there. Like, you think it's worth $1 million. I'll give you $950 for it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, join the queue. We're going to take it to market. So you just lost your opportunity because you threw some stupid number out there trying to buy it cheap. You were never going to get it cheap in this market. And you lost that opportunity where you might have bought it for $980, and now they're going to go to market and it'll sell for $1,050,000. So you've got to really think about where you offer. So I spend a lot of time building a strategy around why I'm offering and where it's going to sit. And my first offer does 95% of the heavy lifting. So my first offer is to do two things, right? It's to either buy the property, if I'm really lucky, which doesn't happen very often. But really, the reason I'm making an offer, probably 95% of the way towards where I think it's worth, and possibly where we'll go to if we're pushed, is because I want to generate a counter offer. So if you go that close to the price, often I've found from experience, having done over 3,000 property deals, that you'll get someone come back and say, okay, well, look, so I'll give you an example. If it's $1 million you think it's worth, instead of going in at 950, I'll go in at 982. Okay, and what I want is either 982 to buy it, or for the vendor to come back and say, well, I'll take $1 million. I say, okay, well, that was what it was. I'll know in my head, okay, well, that was what it's worth. Now it's a game to see how close I can get it to 982, right? So it becomes a negotiation then. But it's if you go to $1 million, they'll want $1,050,000. If you go to 950, you won't learn anything because I'll just turn you away. So you've got to go far enough. That first offer does all the heavy lifting for me. It either buys the property or it establishes where I need to be positioned to buy the property, right? The other thing I do in that situation is I always offer by SMS, okay? And I do that for a reason. This is, again, having done this thousands of times, okay?
Always offer by SMS.
Always offer by SMS. So I offer by SMS. No, I offer by SMS for a reason. So if you put an offer forward on SMS and it's not enough, and it's nowhere near what's going to buy it, or they've got other buyer competition, they'll dismiss it straight away. But if the offer is close enough, they'll ask you to put it in writing. Okay, so that just shows you, it breaks down the wall instantly. So if I offer 982 in that instance, and they say, thanks, but no, you're wasting your time, then I know they're either, the vendor's got much higher expectations, or they've already got buyer interest at that level and they're confident of beating that price. But if they say to me, put it in writing, I know the agent it's already hit a level of which the agent said to the vendor that that's probably good selling price, or that the agent thinks, well, I'm going to use this as a conditioning tool. I'm going to try and get this deal together and make it happen. So if you offer by SMS, that does a lot of heavy lifting for me as well. So those two things are like kind of an insider trick that will, having done this so often, is just like a little game that I play that gets me good results.
So now we're talking about a couple of characters. Like, what does it actually sound like as it's put forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could go into this rabbit hole tons, and I'm happy to share this with you guys or whoever wants to see what I write. But it'll be along the lines of why I'm offering 982,000. It's based on my, market knowledge because of X sale and because of, where I think, the market's going, blah, 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 or there's no money in it beyond this from a feasibility study if I'm looking for stuff to develop, because, the value at the end is going to be X, and if I'm paying Y, there's no margin in it with build costs, blah, whatever the story is that I've got to paint around that picture. And it's almost always, as you know me, you've heard me say this 100 times, it's almost always got exploding time limit. And it won't be do it by 5 o'clock or I'm out, because that's what wankers do and get nowhere. It'll be we're already a long way down the path on another property in Miami. We've done our due diligence on that. We've got offer and acceptance. They're willing to accept our offer. They're giving me extreme pressure to act before Friday afternoon. It's not me, it's them. I really want to buy your.
We're going to make a decision now.
Yeah, I really want to buy your property. It's priority for me. It's definitely my preference, but it only works for me at 982. I'm sure you can understand if your clients don't accept it today, I'm out. I'm going to buy the other one in Miami. And then what do? They just forward that text message or copy and paste it and send it to their vendor, and the vendor goes, "Fuck! Like, what do we do? Do we spend $6,000 on marketing and take it to market? Maybe we'll beat 982. We might get 990. Who knows?" Or do we just take it with this guy and just go? And I'm preying on the fact that I've hit a vendor or an agent that says, take it and go. And job done. I bought it maybe 70 grand below market, because if it went to market, it might have gone at $1,050,000. So it's understanding the process. It's understanding who's sitting in what seats, like what the agent's role is and how they're going to, I said this today on one of the posts that I mentally, and maybe I'm mentally retarded, but mentally, I see I see it like a triangle. Like there's an agent, there's a buyer, and there's a vendor, right? And they're all kind of pulling in their different directions. And my job is to try and align that, triangle perfectly. And it's really hard to do. But you've got to think that there's three negotiations going on. It's not just what you want to pay and what the vendor is going to accept. It's like what the agent's told the owner, what the agent thinks they can get out of other buyers, what you're paying for that property versus what you can pay somewhere else. Should the vendor take that price or go to market and roll the dice? There's lots of things moving, and you got to understand all those moving parts. Maybe I go into it too deep, but that's kind of what I live and breathe.
2 hours.
You just throw the offer. Just give them the number.
There'll be another session, I'm sure. Let's. If there's one final question before we're because otherwise, I mean, Joe, way past Joe's bedtime. Poor Joe. I feel for him, and we go win. That's a comment, but I love it. So is there one last burning question, the one that people want to ask Scott about anything? I'm sure if Leesy's there, he'll ask a smart ass-ish question. But or if not, Joe gets the final say on the question. So if you want Joe to ask the question, stop. I mean, putting pressure on Joe, but I'm sure he can come up with one question. But I've really, this time has absolutely flown. It's
just been a fantastic session. Yeah. I like how we sprinkled a bit of negotiation in there as well. I like how there's a bit of negotiation.
I live and breathe the negotiation side of it. Like, for all the love I have for the agent selector stuff, which is great, and I love the bespoke part of that and helping people on each individual circumstance. The negotiation is just, that's in the blood, right? Like, it's just the thrill of the deal. And that's why I don't care if I'm buying a car park or a $10 million property, back to back on the same day. It makes zero difference to me how many zeros are on the deal. It's all about just winning. I just love that, closing deals and doing that. So I could talk about this for hours and hours, because it is really a passion. And that's why when you said to me, you do so many things, like in terms of all the property stuff, but the Huller House will always be at the forefront of it because it's just so much fun.
That was very kind for you, George. I mean, you must have not seen the Property Brothers. I mean, the Property Brothers has got to be close. We're getting a lot of views. I won't plug the YouTube again. I want to.
Don't plug the YouTube again. No one subscribe on our YouTube, please.
No,
Jeff, every time we talk about this bloody thing, Jeff's like, we've got 150%. I'm like, you can't, if you get 6 people and you've got 3 people, you can't say 100%. It's just, technically you're correct.
You laugh, Joe. You laugh. But no, so Sky, if you want to ask a question, I'm sure you've probably got one, but if not, Joe's going to ask the question in a minute's time. So we've at an hour 57, the question will be to Joe, and that might be to wrap it up.
Does that mean I can drink Chardonnay for a minute?
You can smash subscribe. No, don't subscribe. Don't subscribe. Don't subscribe. Actually,
don't encourage me. Don't encourage me.
Everyone.
I'm going to drink for a minute while you guys work out this question.
Yep. Get the bottle. Get the bottle. Yeah. Man, this is good. I really enjoyed this one. I think there's actually one thing that you sent out was like a marketing campaign that was like a talks all about your step-by-step process. And I loved it. I was like, this is like, I feel like you're trying to market, but you're just giving me how to become an agent selector. And that's actually in the new ad that we're running for you, those 5 steps. So maybe it's worthwhile you sharing those, that content with the group, and then you can get it broken down, because it's 5 steps to find a leading agent, right? Do you remember do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I think that would be a fantastic post.
I mean, yeah, well, I'm happy to do that. I'll share that tomorrow with everybody, and I'll share a way to get that ebook as well, so people can just download that for free and get all that information. I mean, this is something that you guys can do yourself. This is not me just sitting here promoting Huller House and what I do. The beauty of this, both on the negotiation side and the agent selection side, is I can give you these tools. You can go out and actually apply them yourself and do that. But you kind of don't want to learn in property by making mistakes. And you shouldn't really do that in life anyway, is my belief. You should just learn the right way to do things and apply that to make sure you don't leave money on the table or get burned. But a lot of people will make these mistakes and say, oh, well, I won't do that again. I'll do it this way next time. But the goal is to give as much knowledge out as possible and let people go and do it themselves. So hopefully you're learning a lot and you're getting some value out of all of this as well.
Let's leave. Sky's been a great follower this session. She was keen to come along. So she said about selling. This is an interesting question I kind of come across. So, in your view, what would Scott do on? Would you vacant possession, or would you kind of get a tenant in place? Or I suppose
Depends where the property. Yeah, it depends where the property is in terms of if the market's booming at the moment. So if it was in one of the major cities or one of the coastal areas and the market's super hot, then you probably haven't got much doubt that it's going to continue to run until the end of February to sell the property. In an ideal world, as an agent, you'd have the property vacant, styled, and presented perfectly that you could show it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the perfect light, perfect traffic, privacy, noise, and all those things to get you the best possible result. So if you're asking from an agent's perspective, vacant, styled, and easy access is the best way to get you the ultimate result. Not always possible for sellers, but if you can do that, that's what I would be doing.
Yeah, nice, concise answer. I love it.
Yeah, and it gives you, the other thing I missed on that as well is that it opens you up to owner occupiers, people that are going to pay an emotional premium for your house. If it's leased, and if it's leased only for a month or two, that's not relevant. But if it's leased for 9 months or a year, then you're definitely going to leave money on the table because you're only selling to a shorter market.
Yeah, 100%. Like the amount of properties I've seen listed that have tenants in, and then you speak to the agent, he's like, you can negotiate so much better because they're like, I'm not getting this emotional owner occ. I've just got these investors. Only investors, not many investors right now in this area. So, whatever, throw something at me, please. Like you can smell the desperation. And then you go to the PPOR. It's like, whoa, hey, welcome, but join the queue.
Join the queue. Yeah, exactly. Join the queue. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, no, this has been a sensation. I think let's just wrap this one up here we've hit the 2-hour mark. So some great work, guys. But you've shared so many insights. We're going to get this video cut up into many pieces and we'll put it on our Instagram. That's what I'm more excited about. Instagram, like it's
Instagram link. 800
yeah,
something subscribers, Joe.
We won't do that, but we'll get them cut up and we'll get it succinct and we'll get it really in the good bite-sized chunks of the value that you've shared, Scott. And I appreciate you taking the time. How can people get in touch with you, mate?
They can get me at tullerhouse.co, and house is HAUS, and they can follow me on LinkedIn if you want to see different articles that I'm writing on the market, different things that are happening that I'm seeing in real time. But my phone number, my email is everywhere, so I'm easy to contact. And I handle all the negotiations start to finish myself. So whether you're a buyer or a seller, you can get hold of me easy.
Yeah, thanks very much for the value you've added to the group and just the support you've added to us, us as kind of a group and as a business that we kind of consider ourselves a small little mum and pop or a friend business that we're running here.
Yeah, pop and pop. Pop and pop. Look, I love it. I'm very, very pleased to be a sponsor of this show because you guys are just like doing this in a fun and lighthearted way, but there's so much good content. There's so many great people that have been contributing to the page since I've been involved from pretty early on.
I even allowed somebody who got sent a crypto message. I even allowed that to stay up there. So some people will just delete that, but I'm like, oh well, I don't know. I mean, there's Terry's talking about how he's selling his forex.
I saw that. I love it.
Yeah, love
right.
Terry kind of trolling the scammer, but
trolling the trolls.
Exactly. Well, thanks guys for having me. Thank you very much for everyone for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope I added some value to people and you got something out of the session. And as always, I'm totally happy to workshop anything openly at no cost. So if anyone's got any questions along their journey, reach out anytime. I'm happy to help.
Thanks very much, Scott.
Let's do it. Thanks, Scotty. Let's go buy a property.
See you guys.
See you later.
Yeah. See ya.